to address the House.
Dr. Mainu. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, permit me to take this opportunity to congratulate the Honorable Minister of Finance, Dr. Ashni Kumar Singh, and his hard-working officials for yet another well-crafted budget for 2014. This budget, Mr. Speaker, reflects the government's commitment to the most vulnerable, with particular emphasis on our children, youth, older persons, and people with disabilities. During the current financial period, we will embark on a nationwide frontline service delivery improvement initiative, focusing on the quality of the services we render, which is geared at providing a better life for all. Mr. Speaker, there are a number of elements of the developmental equation that are often very hard to quantify, yet are fundamental to achieving the outcomes we seek. The first of these is the quality of the services that government delivers. When people experience poor service delivery, our projects fail. Then, not only are citizens denied those services to which they are entitled, but in turn, their capacity to contribute further to the development process is undermined. Unless our policies are implemented efficiently, courteously, honestly, and enthusiastically, we will achieve far less than we intend, and which our people surely deserves. Mr. Speaker, our growing economy and rising standard of living have resulted in increased demands for new and better roads, more port for mooring, increased and improved water, electricity, and telecommunications infrastructure. Over the years, Mr. Speaker, this government has invested in infrastructure that was either woefully run down or non-existent in some cases. This 2014 budget seeks to maintain that trend and also increases the sums allocated on much needed social infrastructure, such as I mentioned before, water, electricity, schools, roads, health facilities, and housing, amongst others. Mr. Speaker, it must be noted that specific emphasis was placed on returning Georgetown to its long-lost grandeur by the allocation of $500 million towards a cleanup exercise. Surprisingly, Mr. Speaker, there were lots of adverse reactions emanating from some members of this House. Mr. Speaker, it is my view that the unsightly state of our beloved city must be of grave concern to all proud Guyanese, more so to all of us in this House. I therefore urge my colleagues on the other side of this House to not only criticize this initiative, but to also present their ideas in making this exercise a success, so that together we can restore Georgetown to its long-lost coveted title of the Garden City of the Caribbean. Mr. Speaker, we have heard the criticism that there is nothing for poverty alleviation in this budget. Mr. Speaker, this is ludicrous. The reality is that all of the members embodied in this 2014 budget are geared towards alleviating and ultimately diminishing poverty in our country to negligible figures. It is widely acknowledged by research, Mr. Speaker, that paid employment is the best way to lift vulnerable families out of poverty. And that is why this government is focused on helping those vulnerable families by creating conditions for investors to open new businesses, which will create much needed jobs. And Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Minister, Mr. Irfan Ali, during his presentation yesterday, explained how every new dollar invested through this budget will translate into income for families. Mr. Speaker, not only are we creating the enabling environment for investment, the government, through its social welfare policies, is equipping vulnerable groups to become self-sufficient. We heard presentations from the Honorable Minister of Social Services, of Human Services, presentation on the Women of Work initiatives and on the single parent initiatives, where persons are given skills and financial assistance to create employment for themselves, and as such, assist in alleviating their state of poverty. Mr. Speaker, for the financial year of 2014, the total budget available for the Public Service Ministry is 830 million Guyana dollars. We have accepted that there will always be pressure on the resources availed to us to undertake the work before us. This propels us to seek greater efficiency and prudence in the use of our allotted resources. We are not deterred nor overwhelmed. Instead, our resolve is toughened. Mr. Speaker, the Public Service Ministry will this year call on all public servants to embrace discipline in the implementation of their various projects, to comply with all the established norms and standards and statutes, and so disallow for the several complaints we get coming to this House from the Public Accounts Committee. They should also have compassion for all employees and the public that we serve, and to ensure that there is efficiency in all of our performances. Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, a highly productive, efficient, and disciplined public service is not a luxury, nor is it a matter of intellectual and political pontification. It is a primary ingredient towards the achieving sustainable growth and development of our country. What I request from the populace is simple. Where the public servants do good, please affirm them. A great deal that we take for granted, Mr. Speaker, is done by some hard-working, dedicated people. Where they fall short of their responsibility, do not hesitate to complain and insist on proper treatment. Do not tolerate mediocrity, because we are not a people who celebrate mediocrity. Mr. Speaker, may I voice my disgust at the Honorable Member, Mr. Trotsman's reference to a few members, and it was a selected few members of the public service, when he referred to them as not being able to determine their nose hole from their posterior. I think, sir, we need to have regard and respect for our public servants. And as I said, sir, Mr. Speaker, as I said before, when they do wrong and they make mistakes, let us not condone them. Let us say so. Mr. Speaker, the reforms that we have embarked upon in the public sector will ensure that we build a public service capable and oriented towards meeting the developmental aspirations of our people and our country. It is a constitutional imperative that we dare not fail in realizing. Mr. Speaker, colleagues, imagine a world where every worker felt appreciated, respected, and supported, where every worker is dedicated, committed, and gives 8 hours of every day to working productively. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm accustomed that this hour the honorable member, Ms. Deborah Bakker, normally takes the chair. I'm wondering if Mr. Williams will do so. Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the honorable member, Ms. Valda Lawrence, during her presentation, also to the concern, and I would want to feel to everyone in this August House, spoke about our young children who were exposed to alcohol, drugs, and prostitution in some instances. And sir, I wondered, where were our parents? Where were their parents? But as a government, and I agree to some extent with Ms. Lawrence, as a government, we ought to fill that void where the parents do not live up to standard. And as such, Mr. Speaker, we have in 2013 and will continue in 2014 training a cadre of psychologists who will be assigned to the Ministry of Human Services and the Ministry of Education. For the honorable members, it takes 4 years. It takes 4 years and 6 months to train a psychologist. I said psychologist. I didn't say a technician, sir. Mr. Speaker, imagine a world where every child was taught in an environment that's conducive for learning, where every child feels cared for, and every child will give the best of his childhood, learning in the full knowledge that his efforts are most important investment in his country needs. Imagine a country where every parent and adult takes their responsibility for the education of their children. Imagine what a foundation we would build for this country. Mr. Speaker, we have gone a long way in addressing the social needs of our people by providing decent shelter, water, electricity, healthcare facilities, schools, social security services, housing, roads, and other infrastructure. Mr. President, the list is long. But Mr. Speaker, the list is long. A lot still needs to be done. But with our prudent and sound economic policies, we will see the job through. Mr. Speaker, we could not have done these things, and we could not do more if we did not have a responsive, dedicated, and committed public servant who are motivated, and yes, Mr. Williams, who are motivated, willing, and capable of carrying out our developmental mandate. Mr. Speaker, in order to improve the academic prowess of our human capital, The Public Service Ministry will continue its aggressive scholarship and training policy in the fields of health, education, agriculture, water resources, engineering, and information technology. Sir, more emphasis will be placed this year on the training of specialists in the medical fields and specialties such as obstetrics and gynecology, urology, pediatrics, oncology, and pathology. Already, Mr. Speaker, we have 5 such specialists in training. Also, Mr. Speaker, we will be training most needed specialists in the fields of hydrometeorology. As we just heard from the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, when he lamented the need for skilled staff in that area. Lamented. This aggressive training and upgrading of skills will ensure that we maintain a constant availability of highly competent staff. Mr. Speaker, the Public Service Ministry and the Guyana Public Service Union have recommenced meeting this year to discuss workers' issues. We are now piloting an arrangement where we will restore our negotiation formations, and we will soon introduce a dispensation on how we deal with salary increases. Mr. Speaker, I have heard 2 speakers on the opposite side of this House mentioning that there is no salary increase for public servants in the budget. This, Mr. Speaker, is misleading and inaccurate. Mr. Speaker, if I remember well, it was the very members of the opposition who chastised the government for unilaterally imposing salary increases. We are therefore allowing the outcome of the collective bargaining process between the government and the Guyana Public Service Union to determine the percentage of salary increases. Mr. Speaker, this administration shall continue to support any scheme that will improve the welfare of the entire workforce. We will continue to work with the trade unions to ensure that staff are accorded maximum available employment benefits. And I repeat, Mr. Speaker, available employment benefits. Mr. Speaker, we are confident that we are on course to rebuild the trust seemingly lost between us and organized labor. A test case is in the way we manage negotiations to conclude bargaining processes. We will set deadlines together. Mr. Speaker, hinterland development is of paramount importance to this administration. And it is for this reason that over the years, tangible funds have been allocated to augment this developmental process. In this 2014 budget, Mr. Speaker, the regional administration of Region Number 7 will receive funds to execute the following projects. Mr. Speaker, funds are available for the rehabilitation of the administration building at Bartica. There will be completion of 2 schools, one at Itabali and one at Kaburi. Rehabilitation and extension of the primary schools at Chinawing and Mbaimada in the Upper Mazaruni and the Kartabo. There is going to be construction of the teachers' quarters at Isano in the Middle Mazaruni. Construction of sanitary blocks at Parima and Itabali primary schools. There will be construction of 2 health posts, one at Winnipiru and Kartabo. the rehabilitation and extension of health posts at Kaburi and Batavia, installation of solar systems for health posts at Winipiru and Karatabo. Also, installation of solar systems at the primary schools at Parima, Quibinang, and Kangaruma. There is going to be the purchase of an X-ray processor and film hopper, hematology machines, blood storage, a blood storage refrigerator, diathermy pads, infant warmers, drip stands, beds, and filing cabinets to equip the region's health facilities. There's going to be purchase of an ambulance, an ATV, boats, and outboard engines for the health sector. Purchase of furniture and equipment for the schools. Purchase of boats and engines for the regional education sector. There is going to be construction of the riverbank revetment at Baidarabo. Yes, sir, again. Yeah. Construction, there's construction at the bridge which badly needs, which is in disrepair at Philippi. There's construction and rehabilitation of the roads at Agatash and Track X, Caribbees Hill. Mr. Speaker, Norton, I'm speaking. Much needed rehabilitation will also be done on the Bartica-Potaro Road through the Ministry of Public Works budgetary allocation. And, sir, needed works will also be done at the airstrips at Parima and Philippi, since these are in dire need of repairs. Mr. Speaker, it is expected that the aforementioned interventions will enhance the livelihood of the residents of this region and improve their tourism attractiveness. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Member, Mr. Keith Scott, during his presentation, said that the Honorable Member Irfan Ali mentioned last year that he was expecting yachts to visit within the Essequibo River. Yachts. And he was querying whether there are any such appearances. May I inform this Honorable House that in 2013, they had 50 yachts visiting the Essequibo River and spent an average of 21 days. In 2014, an average of 21 days. In 2014, Mr. Speaker, plans have already been made for the visits of 75 such yachts, of which, Mr. Speaker, Bartica and environs will be the recipients of much needed resources. Mr. Speaker, when this 2014 budget is objectively perused, its holistic approach to poverty alleviation is blatant. Mr. Speaker, we have heard this budget being described by a member of this House as a repair and maintenance budget. But, sir, it must be understood that in order not to disrupt the infrastructural developmental process that has occurred under this PPPC administration over the past 20 years, repair and maintenance of structures is vital. It must be noted, Mr. Speaker, that simultaneous to the maintenance and repair of existing structures, new installations, Mr. Speaker, such as schools, health facilities, roads, bridges, airports, and hydro project dams will be constructed. Mr. Speaker, Budget 2014 must not and cannot be viewed in isolation. It must be viewed as a link in the Guyana social and economic developmental chain. Mr. Speaker, there is no denying that through the PPPC's government prudent macroeconomic policies, Guyana has experienced 7 years of uninterrupted growth and is poised to continue that trend. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, over the next 12 days, everyone in this House will expound on their interpretation of this budget. But it must not be lost on any of us that we are seen as leaders by our respective constituents. Mr. Speaker, once again for emphasis, let me say that we are regarded as leaders in this House. So let us conduct ourselves and our business as such. Let us make constructive criticisms where it is warranted, and simultaneously, let us make objective recommendations for improvement.
Recommendations start. Lost it.
Let us leave a legacy of meaningful engagement for our future leaders, our young people to follow. Mr. Speaker, there is a popular song that was sung by, if not all of us, most of us, while we were at school. Mr. Speaker, were I to be speaking at a different forum, I would have requested all present in this House to join in singing this song. But Mr. Speaker, seeing that I have the floor at the moment, I want to seek the indulgence of
not to sing.
Of yourself and my colleagues, not to sing the song, sir, since I'm not artistically endowed, but to repeat the words of that song. I sing. The name of the song is Let Us Cooperate, sir. And it goes like this.
Okay, all right. Other members, okay. Well, it appears that you got your song after all, but you may still proceed with the word.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, yes. Yes, sir, I'll still read the words. I'll read the first verse only, sir. Okay. It says, let us cooperate for Guyana. Let us cooperate for our land. Let us resolve to fight together. See we do it right together. Can we do it? Yes, we can.
Continue.
Each man must do his best for his comrades. Each man must do his best for his land.
Okay, honourable members, please settle down.
Each must... shut up.
Please settle down. Allow the minister to finish, please.
Each must resolve to help another. Learn to call his neighbor brother. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Each group must do its best for the region. Each group must do its best for the land. Each group must sacrifice a little. Learn to do without a little.
This sounds like school.
Can we do it? Yes, we can. The regions must unite for the country. The regions must unite for the land. Each region has its chosen mission, but they all have one ambition. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Let us cooperate for Guyana Let us cooperate for our land. Let us resolve to fight together. See, we do it right together. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Mr. Speaker, I will.
Okay, honorable members, let's
Mr.
not
Speaker,
lose the moment that
we
the
have
minister is
lots
trying to
of
create.
challenges to overcome, but we can only surmount them if we do it together. What we need is more productive collaboration to the benefit of all our people. Should we fail, Mr. Speaker, history will judge us harshly. So let us move this country forward together. Once again, I'm asking, as one people, one nation, as